Life and faith, the two are intimately connected. For more than 2 decades, Life and Faith Television has painted pictures and told stories of faith journeys here in southwestern Ontario. Join us now as we continue the tradition. We explore the diversity in our lives of faith and the faith of our lives.
Good morning. It's good to see you again. And if you are a new viewer to Life and Faith, well, thanks for joining us and welcome. Today, the Life and Faith team take you down the road to Stratford and then to Ingersoll, Ontario. In Stratford, we visit St. James Anglican Church, where they're undergoing major structural change. In Ingersoll, we learn about the 50th anniversary of the UCW, the United Church Women. It's been said that when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and that's exactly what we see taking place at St. James Anglican Church in downtown Stratford. Reverend Keith Nethery speaks with the team leading the way during a time of major restoration and expense. Let's discover how that parish is dealing with this situation.
Historic St. James Anglican Church in downtown Stratford, I guess it would be fair to say right now it's a work in progress. Starting back in 2009, some major structural difficulties detected. And rather than going, what do we do? The folks here actually got busy and have done a whole lot. Today on Life and Faith, we're going to look at the capital campaign and restoration here at St. James, as guided by the Reverend Canon Lauren Mitchell and Jeff Boyce.
We learned that we were having structural problems with the roof. And in actual fact, what had happened was that the walls of the church for over 140 years had been pushed out slowly but surely by the weight of the roof. It seems like the buttresses on the church just weren't quite big enough. So our architect said that we really needed to have this looked at, and as it turns out, it was quite serious. The walls had started to move out. And so that's when I asked Jeff if he'd be chair of the Restoration Committee. And foolish as he is, he said yes. And so we knew that we were going to have to do some work, but we didn't realize how quickly we would have to act. In fact, in December of 2009, the structural engineer said that we had to vacate the church immediately. And then later on, he said, in actual fact, the parish hall isn't much better. You can't stay in there either. We needed to do structural work on both. So we found ourselves at the beginning of 2010 having to actually leave the church. And so we did. We went to the Knights of Columbus. And for several months our worship services were there. The strategic plan was a plan not just for the physical work of the church that needed to be done, but also a strategic plan that incorporated the 5 marks of mission. And so that was already well underway when all this happened. So in actual fact, although it was very distressing, this actually accelerated the whole process.
With the sequence, we knew we needed a strategic plan to know what we're going to spend the money on and how to raise the money to do it. So that was all part and parcel of the same project.
Outside, one of the issues that was discovered when we did the building audit was that further work needed to be done on the tower. And a lot of the work is brickwork, mortar, things that need to be done.
100-year-old bricks and 50-year-old mortar don't match, and the bricks keep spalling and breaking, and that's what so many churches are experiencing.
Yeah.
So looking from this direction, if we look at this, could you actually see the walls starting to go out? Was it visible to the eye? Like, are we talking?
No.
2 inches, 4 inches?
6 inches.
6 inches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
10 inches total at the top.
Yeah.
Spread. So, but that's that much on either side. So
you couldn't notice it. Yeah.
What you could notice were large gaps between the wall and the beams.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can
And
see where they were.
inside.
yeah. Now, if we go around the other side, you can see some of the work that needed to be done on the outside. If you can imagine, we had to actually have scaffolding put all around the outside of the church, and then also scaffolding inside the church from front to back, top to bottom.
Okay.
Because what they needed to do was they needed to cut these long holes in the roof.
Oh, you can see them.
You can see the 4 long holes in the roof there. And they needed to do put in extra bracing. I forget what they were called. There was a name for them.
Camelbacks or strongbacks.
Strongbacks, that's it. And in order to strengthen the actual roof structure. And then they needed to put in tie rods, and they did a beautiful job. You can't really see where they are, but the tie rods had to be done from both the outside and the inside.
So the tie rods sort of hook on the outside wall and don't let it spread any further.
Okay.
They couldn't bring it back, but they save it from going out any further.
Okay.
And with the weight pushing down on the roof, that's what's pushing it out.
Yeah.
So the supports they put in the ceiling were to stop the sag from the roof and bring them up, and then the tie rods help stop it from going any further.
Yeah.
Another thing you can't see too clearly, but you can see if you look up at the bell tower, you see the mesh around, and again we've got the bricks that are chipping and falling. So we've put this temporary, but it's sort of like putting a glove over top of just to make sure that keep everything.
Don't want to land on somebody's head.
No.
When we had the building audit done, it was pretty clear that this needs to be re-bricked and re-mortared. And when we were dealing with all sorts of issues with the roof, was exactly the time when the bells had to be removed from the tower. In fact, I remember the day when they were taking the bells out of the tower, and they came out the front louver of the tower. The workers over at this end discovered that there was a beam here that was so rotted they would have to cut it out. And we can go inside and I can show you the beam that they actually had to cut out. So that was quite an exciting May, wasn't it?
Exciting might not be the word for it, but
So all the time when the bells were out and being restored, the Strategic Plan Committee was putting together a strategic plan. And so by the fall, not only were we back in the church, but we also were about to have our new bells and our ratoon bells back. They eventually came back in December of 2010. And so we were ready to not only launch our strategic plan, but also at the same time, at the vestry meeting of 2011, we launched our capital campaign. And the whole idea was to have both launched at the same time because they depend on one another. And so part of the strategic plan was, of course, to reach out more to the community. And what that meant was to have greater access to everything that this church can offer to the community. So the first thing that we wanted to start with was increasing the accessibility, because in order to move from the church proper to the parish hall at the moment, you have to go up and down several different kinds of stairs. And so we needed to rectify that problem. So the parish hall has a lot to offer the community, but it doesn't have great access from outside. And so that's why we started looking at possibilities for a ramp to make it accessible for not only wheelchairs and walkers, but anyone who has any kind of walking issue getting in and out of the parish hall. Well, the Bell campaign was intended to do a number of things. First of all, to replace the frame which was getting rotted, the frame that holds the bells. The other was to actually retune the 11 bells that we had. Also to add 4 new bells, and what that means is actually expanding the pedal board here. It's called a chime stand, and so it's been expanded from 11 levers to 15 levers. It means that our chimer can play a wider variety of tunes and hymns. So you can go upstairs and have a look at the new frame and bells.
Mm-hmm. Shall we?
Sure. Bat phone.
Call Batman.
The hotline.
Yeah.
Who's got the
This is the clock. It's been here since 1909. And Peter Ride keeps it in beautiful condition. It's usually no more than a few seconds out.
Now, it takes something like half an hour to wind it?
No,
Oh.
no. I think he can do it in about 15 minutes.
Okay. That's still a long time to wind a clock.
Yeah.
I like one I can wind in 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Crawl along the walkway there. Yeah, I think it was back in the 1920s when it started. It started out with just the chimers, a list of the chimers and rectors and vergers probably. But then by the 1940s they started to put on other information, historical information, and so every chimer up until this present day keeps a record of major historical events. And if you look closely there, you'll see, you know, the death of President Kennedy and the coronation of Queen Elizabeth, all the major events.
And so the work continues at St. James Anglican Church. For Life and Faith, this is Reverend Keith Nethery.
We appreciate your feedback on the show, or if you have any upcoming events in your faith community, please contact Doug Croden by emailing doug@anchorvideo.com. If you'd like to view any of our past programs, check out the video archives at lifeandfaith.ca. For those with mobile devices, you can also connect from here to our YouTube site.